So I'd like to welcome everyone to the first Digital Transformation Thursday. It's our first time to do this, and I'm sort of playing wearing many hats today. So I'm also running our sort of back end, doing the text. I just need to make sure my slideshow is set up properly here. Okay, look, that's good. So we, as mentioned by Cassie earlier, we thought up this event, a series of events to celebrate our 20th year. Initially, we were planning to do a series of free lectures at UPBGC to celebrate our 20th year. That the pandemic got to us first, and therefore we're reduced to doing this here. But I think I'm pretty happy that we're able to do this and share our digital transformation story with everyone. So let me just fix this a bit. Okay, so digital transformation. So what we're going to be talking about today, I must admit I had a bit of some trepidation, some reservations about whether or not I wanted to discuss this, because I thought it might be a bit self-indulgent on our part. Talk about the firm's own digital transformation journey. After discussing with my colleagues, it's agreed that perhaps it's a good way to kick off the series to talk about how we got where we are. And where we are is that when the pandemic hit and the lockdown happened, in fact, before the lockdown, about a day before the lockdown, we had decided internally to have everyone work from home. And what struck me was how that process was seamless insofar as our lawyers are concerned. And that was because not only our lawyers, but even our admin staff, we could actually operate our business entirely from home. And this is because we really had moved a lot of our processes online. And you know, everyone can work so long as you have an internet connection on the browser. You should be okay to go. And so digital transformation became sort of the theme of what happened. I think it was the product of our digital transformation journey. And so I wanted to start first with what is the definition of digital transformation. And actually, initially, I was looking at Wikipedia, which actually had an interesting definition, which is digital transformation, according to Wikipedia, is applying technology in order to solve problems. And I think that's it's a very broad definition. I like that definition, but I felt that quoting Wikipedia might not be academic enough, so I looked for an academic. So George Westerman of MIT Sloan says that digital transformation marks a radical rethinking of how an organization uses technology, people, and processes to fundamentally change business performance. And to a certain degree, that's true for us. And I think depending on where you are on your digital transformation journey, it might be that you might actually change the way you deliver your product to your customer. In the case of, say, a bank, a digital bank, it used to be that you interface with your customer through your branches and later through your ATM. But now the next mode is to use your the web and the mobile applications to transact with your customers. Okay, so then I'll now go on and discuss the law office's journey, and I like to call it from a fire to a pandemic. So I started the practice in 2000, and you know, back then we were using all the standard tools. And you know, what we will discuss today is the functional areas of our practice and how we use technology in those areas, and then finally the adjustments we made in work from home. So when I started the firm in 2000, you know, we were using basically the standard tools that lawyers are still using today, basically email, SMS. You use some word processing tool. I was using Word. I remember in the US, I think the first generation legal word processor was WordPerfect. There were a lot of tools that were actually built into WordPerfect that lawyers liked. When Microsoft Word came onto the scene, a lot of tools and features in Microsoft Word were geared, I think, towards lawyers. A lot of that would have to do with the automatic numbering, so you can write up contracts, delete provisions, and then all of that can be kept on, and of course the track changes function. Of course, we do our research online as well through computers. And then slowly we started adopting productivity tools and automation, and just coincidentally that really happened when Professor Emmer joined the firm. it started with that first thing that he asked for when he joined the firm. He said, "Can I have two monitors?" And the reason for that was that he had read somewhere that Microsoft had done a study on productivity. I think he even sent me a link to the article. Productivity. So Microsoft had done a study of all productivity tools, software, etc. And what they found out was that the only thing that showed a measurable increase in productivity was a second screen. And indeed, so to accommodate him, we put them up on two screens. I think those were like 14-inch flat screens back then. And I think some of them are still working today, about more than 10 years after. And ever since then, all our machines, we all use double screens. All our lawyers, we use two screens. In my case, I use three because I have my laptop and I usually have like two other screens on top. And so it's something that we've done. It's something that I think increases productivity. And just to explain it very briefly, lawyers usually write on one screen, so that's where your word processor will be on the screen one, and you're also doing some research. So you can have that could be on screen two is the research, but also sometimes you're replying to a pleading. Let's say you're filing an opposition to a motion, so you want the motion up on another screen. So if you're doing your work, you're writing here. You want to see what did that lawyer say? You look to the right. That's the pleading right there. And then you're writing and you're thinking, what was our research? You look to your left and your research is right there. So you have your resources just by turning your head. You get the resource already, rather than flipping your thumbs on a alt tab, right? So we slowly did that and we played around with a lot of productivity tools. And then to get to where we are now, and we'll introduce to you with the technology that we've introduced. And that included things later as I got more involved in the administrative side of things, billing and invoicing. And then in the last year, we finally subscribed to all e-banking platforms, to all the bank accounts that we maintain. And then recently, with work from home, we've had to adjust again. Okay, so the functional areas, doing the work for lawyers, time tracking and billing, banking, work from home, and the pandemic. Oh, so doing the work, what tools do we use to do the work for our clients? For external communication, we settled on, of course, email, but I ended up using or subscribing to G Suite. So we use Gmail. Initially, when we subscribed to G Suite, we were using only Gmail and mainly for email. So our disini.ph domain resolves to a Gmail address. For word processing, initially we were using only Word, but more recently we're actually using GDocs. And what's interesting is that I became the one that pushed everyone to GDocs because oftentimes I'm not in the office. I'm off at meetings, or maybe I'm in between meetings on the road. And what I found was that if you send me a file on Microsoft Word and I see it on my mobile on the Microsoft Word app, it's not so easy to read. Google Docs is much better to see on your phone and much easier to make changes to. So what I did was I required all my associates, if you're going to send me a document for review, you better do it on GDocs. So what happens is I don't know what they did. They started writing on Google Docs, and that's how we do that now. And more we've used the Google Suite for things like calendaring. So we have common calendars throughout the firm. We share calendars, so we know where everyone is more or less. And if your meeting is not there, the assumption is that you're in the office. And if there's nothing set there for you, we assume that you're free to take on meetings, etc. For our task management, Lars will show you how we use Trello. This is something that we just used recently, and actually I think it's correct me if I'm wrong, Lars. I think it's our third software that we've used. I think we started with maybe Todoist, and then I forget the other platforms that we've used, but now we've settled with Trello. And then for internal communications, and a lot of our IT clients actually like this, we use Slack, which is commonly used by people in software development companies. And then for as part of our document management, disaster recovery, we use Nextcloud, which is a product of .ph, as a sort of a replacement to Dropbox. So Nextcloud is like Dropbox, but it's provided by a local company. So of course we use Office. Everybody uses Microsoft Office tools. This is the standard tools that all lawyers use. Apparently, it's not Office 365 anymore. I just found out yesterday it's now Microsoft 365. We actually tried them for a while. We tried their email, Outlook, etc. But you know, I tried to shift everyone over from Slack to Teams, and it was a bit difficult for us. So that's why we decided to keep Slack and just we downscaled our Microsoft use only now to mainly for apps. We don't use any of the OneDrive. It's mainly using the PowerPoint and Excel and Microsoft Word. G Suite is, I guess, the main cloud platform that we use. We use it for email. We sync our calendars to it across the firm. So if you're in the litigation group, all your hearings will be on should be, and it's color coded. We have different calendars for each group. So we know if it's a meeting. We know if you're out of the office. We know if it's a hearing. Okay. I mentioned already Google Docs, which has become my sort of go-to word processing. And actually now what I'm finding is that if we're going to start a new document now, we're more likely to start with a GDoc and Google Doc or a Google Sheet. We find that the first that maybe 95% of everything you can do on Word, you can do on a Google Doc. That's one. The second that we find is that Google Doc is much better for online collaboration. So when 5 or 6 of you are working on a doc simultaneously, Google Docs is good for that. And the nice thing that I find in Google Docs, which I don't find on Microsoft Word, is that because you're working simultaneously, I can find out what were the latest changes, even if it's not tracked. Even if it's, because in Microsoft Word, you have track changes, but in Google Docs, if you forget to turn that on and you made changes, I can see the latest changes because I guess it acts like a wiki. Google Docs acts like a wiki, and therefore we can see those changes. And now I'm going to hand over to you to Attorney Serzo, who will need to unmute herself, where she will talk about how we use Slack for our collaboration and internal communication.
All right.
Lars.
All right. Thank you. So good afternoon. So I'm Lars. Just to give you guys context, so as mentioned, I'm a senior associate in the firm, and the tools that I will be presenting shortly would refer to or would be pertinent to the tasks that I do in the firm. So as mentioned by Attorney JJ, when choosing what steps to take in your organization's digital transformation journey, I think you have to keep in mind, or you have to take note that you need to identify what functional challenges are relevant to your organization. So in our case, as a law firm, what was really important to us is how to properly manage tasks and people's workload. And as a senior associate, my position in the firm really is like I'm between the partners and the more junior lawyers. So it was important for me and for the partners to know what people's workloads are and how to properly distribute tasks. So when I joined the firm in 2015, we already had Slack back then. So Slack is essentially an internal communication software. So for a lot of our tech clients, actually, most of them are familiar with the software already. Okay, I can't seem to control the slides. Okay, there. So anyway, so as I said, Slack is an internal communications tool. The objective really is to provide everyone in the firm, all the lawyers, with a single workspace where the entire legal team can collaborate. So the functionalities of Slack that's important to us really is its ability to give us a space where we can, instead of relying on email as a communications platform, Slack allows us to focus conversations based on client matters. So the discussions are hinged per client, and further, it also has file sharing and search features. So compared to other software, and especially compared to email, it's more intuitive and it's easier to use in terms of, for example, if a client sends in work, let's say contract review, we can just dump it in the appropriate channel and tag whoever is supposed to be working on it. And if you're an associate, it's easier to navigate your tasks through Slack instead of relying on email. Because in email, like throughout the day, throughout the week, certain messages may be drowned out since it's arranged based on date. In Slack, it's arranged per client, so you can manage it better. Okay. I'm trying to move the screen. All right. So let me show you a screenshot of how Slack works. Okay. So this is how our Slack page looks like. So this is a screenshot from our general, a channel we labeled as general. So here, as you can see, we create channels on your left, the left portion of your screen. We create channels based on client name and the client matter. So let's say a pleading arrives for client A. Our secretary who receives the file would already be tasked to dump the pleading in the appropriate channel and tag the assigned lawyer. So that's our protocol. And then here in this channel that I'm showing you, which is the general one, our lawyers would usually dump like important notices or regulations released by government agencies. So in a way, it's like a centralized bulletin board for everything that our lawyers are supposed to know. And really, like for the more senior lawyers in the firm, Slack is also helpful in reducing email use and ensuring that all internal communications are on a separate platform. So the goal really is for us to reserve email for external communications with clients. And I think moving forward, we can also start exploring integrating our Slack with clients who also use Slack so that everything's there na. So now for task management, as mentioned by Attorney JJ, we've started using Trello last year. But actually, since I've entered the firm, we've gone through, I was just listing it down, we've gone through at least five tools. And I guess my takeaway there really is choosing the right tool appropriate for your organization is not automatic. It really depends on the functionalities that you need. So for us, when I started, we had Todoist. It's essentially a to-do list. It's very basic. You can just create tick boxes of your tasks. And the thing I liked about it was gamified. The more tasks you tick off, the more points you earn. So you can actually level up the more tasks you accomplish. So what ended up happening was, we had a competition, like me and my batchmates in the firm, where so we wanted to earn more points. So even our personal errands, personal tasks, we started putting it on Todoist. So anyway, it was fun, but it wasn't really perfect for us because it didn't have a functionality that would allow the senior lawyers to see who's doing what. But we earned points, so that was fun. So we left Todoist. We started using Asana, but again, it wasn't the right fit. So what happened, like 2 years ago, one of our research assistants, a student in UP Law, created our own task management tool, which was made out of Google Sheets, on top of Google Sheets. Essentially, it was a self-coded task management tool. Again, it had the functionalities we need, but in terms of ease of use, it wasn't perfect since it required our lawyers to set aside time just to fill out the Google Sheet with tasks. So it takes you out of, it wasn't as seamless as we would want. So eventually we left that, and now we're now with Trello. So in Trello, we created a board. It's our legal to-do board. So you can see here, I just redacted some of the information. So it's very basic then. So what we did, we created a board accessible by all our lawyers and legal staff, and then created 3 columns. Very easy lang. So we have a to-do column, a doing column, and a done column. So a lawyer assigned to a task is supposed to create a card here. So he or she would indicate the client name, the description of the task, and the lawyers involved. plus the assigned deadline. And then just to let everyone know that he's like if the assigned lawyer saw the card already and he started doing the task, he's supposed to move the card to the doing column. And then, so this gives us a sense of who's handling what, whether a certain lawyer is being overrun with work or someone's not doing anything. So it's all here. And then when they're done, they just move it to the done column. So it's a very simple tool that I think gives us what we need. So that's Trello. And then aside from Trello giving us a way to manage tasks, we also, well now, we use it to display, or we use it as a repository of some important documents that we repeatedly access. So for example, we have so we call it home. We made a column for our onboarding documents, which is essentially just, it just contains our app use policy, like what apps are you supposed to download, what apps are you supposed to use on a day-to-day basis, and how are you supposed to use them. And then we have one for our templates for memos, proposals, etc. And then a column here that consolidates repeated tasks like SEC reporting, government reporting for our clients, and then intellectual property office monitoring work. And so it's all here, easily accessible. And of course, materials that we use for lectures and seminars. So this way, like for example, if a lawyer joins the firm, instead of having to send these documents every time, we can just refer him to this board. So that makes it easier. All right. So now for our challenges, I think at this point it's important to mention what challenges we had having to adopt all these tools. So it was really it was a two-pronged challenge for us. Number one was really convincing. Well, we're lucky that Attorney JJ is very he's really the one pushing for all of this to happen. But it's also a challenge to make sure that everyone in the firm uses it. So it's adoption by the senior lawyers and also the junior lawyers. But I think what we've learned is as long as the lawyers can see how it could benefit the organization, like for example, through Slack and through Trello, workload management has become more transparent. And then it's also easy to track accountability. And I think for lawyers, those are two important things. So if you're an associate doing a lot of work, you'll be able to see whether ikaw lang ba yung napupuno or like are other people slacking off, ganyan. So with Slack and with Trello, that's all visible. And you don't have to worry whether someone's taking credit for your work, etc. So it's an accountability, it has an accountability system in place. So there, I'll turn it back to Attorney JJ, and then we can discuss some more of the issues later.
Okay, hold on. All right, thanks, Lars. Actually, coincidentally, let me see if I can control these slides now. When we use Slack, so here's Slack, no? This is like an internal chat. So these are like a chat channel. And the one who pointed me out to Slack was actually Professor Emma. I sent me an email about this. I said, just try this out. And what I did was, I liked it. I bought, I think a 30-day, I bought something, maybe I tried a 30-day trial. And then I told, the lawyers in the firm, or try this. And almost like immediately, like fish to water, everybody knew exactly what to do and how to use it. So this is a chat channel, but you can upload docs. So actually, one of the ways that we use Slack is that, say, in litigation cases that takes many years, many lawyers might handle the same case. What you can do is you can upload all the files onto the Slack channel, right? The answer, the complaint, the motions, the court orders, and you can search. You can search through that channel, and you can find anything that you need. So now you don't even need to have your file folder with you when you're working. All the TSN can be uploaded. All the docs that you could need that relates to the case, you can upload on Slack, and it's searchable. Okay, and actually that's one of the things that I found using GDocs. versus Word. So when I used to use Word, I have to organize all my files into folders. This client, all the files go into this folder. When you go to GDocs, it's not that easy to create folders and stuff, put stuff into folders. And what I found was that there's a certain sort of, I guess, twisted brilliance to Google Docs, is that your files are everywhere. They're not organized, but the beauty of it isn't that they're organized. It's that you can search. So if you want to find something, the fact that you can search through your files and you can find your document is more important than keeping them in the right order. So there's some sort of interesting thing that I had to find out.
I forgot to mention, Slack has a lot of integration capabilities with a lot of the tools that we use. So Google Docs, Google Calendar, they integrate well with Slack. So like, let's say someone's in a meeting, and according to Google Calendar, he's in that meeting from 4 to 6, it'll appear on Slack. So like a calendar icon would appear beside the name of that person. So there.
Right. Okay. So thanks, Lars. Let me see, adjust the slides here. So moving on, one big problem, which well, for any firm, is obviously billing and time tracking. I remember for a time we used software. I don't know kung naabutan mo yun, Lars. We were using tsheets.com, which it was great. You can log your time, you can set up your matters, and then actually the app had all these cool features where, because it's made for construction workers. So if you report to the site, it takes the GPS of your phone, know that you're there, and then you can clock in. We used that for a while, but we were having difficulty really using it as an end-to-end, meaning time tracking plus billing. So what would happen is our billing would extract all the raw files from T-sheets on every month, and then construct the billing, the invoices from that. What we found was that there was a better solution, and that solution presented itself at, I'm a member of the Inter-Pacific Bar Association, and I attended, I believe it was trying to think now, it might have been the one in Korea, and I met the guys behind Core Matter, Joshua, who I think is present. I'm not sure if he's attending today. And we found that they made this specifically for lawyers. So I asked him to make some screenshots of how it looks like. So when you log in, this is what you see, right? So what you see here are the matters. Matters are the files that you're working on. And of course, there is a unique matter number that they assigned for that. And actually, we right now in our filing system, I've not told Joshua this, we've adopted this numbering system. So we create a number for a client, let's say 01 for this client. And the file number on the folder will be 01.0000016, and this will be the matter. And so when a document is received, it is stamped with that number, and it's organized. It's put into that folder. And what happens is now is all our file folders are numbered numerically. Makes it easy for us to keep track of our files. So the nice thing about this is that you see all the matters that you're working on, and then when you're doing something, you put up a timer. You can time yourself, or you can enter the time manually, right? If you don't like to time yourself. But if you want to be super accurate, you can time yourself. And then all the data goes into the matter. So this is the matter number 16. What you can see here is you can see, of course, the details of the matter, who's the client and how to get in touch with them. Right, the currency, it's multi-currency, so you can be USD, SG, Singapore dollar, Philippine peso, right? And then you can also put some stops. So like you can say when it reaches a certain limit, right? So for example, if you've not billed so much, then you have to start issue an invoice already. What's interesting here is that they didn't highlight it, but you can see all the time that all your lawyers have logged. You will see it here in the activities part. And if they're unbilled, it will show up here on this tab. You can click on that tab, and then from the unbilled you can make invoices. I think that's where I went here. So you can see that this shows the time that people have logged. Different lawyers, right? Different users. You can see SF as the user and JF as the user. I don't think that's very clear. And also you can see sort of the total amount that I think that you billed total, right? Now, you can go to this part, which is the unbilled items. You click on that, and then you can see all the items that have been, all the time that other lawyers have logged, and you can see that it has not yet been billed. And what you can do is you can select the ones that you want to create into an invoice, and you press a button that generate invoice, and it creates an invoice. This is what the invoice looks like. You can, and actually when you, what happens now, so our billing clerk does this, what happens now is it goes to me, and I have to approve that invoice. I get to review the time, I get to review whatever, and then if everything is okay, I approve the invoice, and then it becomes an invoice now that is printed and sent to the client. Um, and uh, and this is now the list of all invoices that you see for that particular matter. So if it's been going on for a couple of months, you might see a couple of invoices here, and these are the invoices that are pending, the due date, right? And then if it's a draft, right, these are the ones that have not yet been approved by me. Okay. And then the other thing that is great about this software. So I talked about the invoices. From invoices, our billing now, if the payment comes in, they can then match the invoices that have been paid. So I can see which invoices have been paid, which invoices have not been paid, and then we can do aging for that. There's that. We can also do profit and loss statements. So there's some basic in and out. But the other thing about this is that the productivity reports, and you can see. Actually, there's just so much info. I didn't use all the slides, but productivity reports shows us what the lawyers are doing, how much time they're doing. We can drill down what work they're doing, how many hours they're actually logging, which are billable, which are non-billable. So this is really perfect for practicing lawyer and managing a lot of people. And they charge on the basis of per user. So you may want to look at Core Matter. We can send links in the follow-on email to all of these providers, and we'll send you contact info for the people who make and support Core Matter. Okay, moving on. Banking is a bit of a pain, as you know. If you have you have to have and maintain multiple bank accounts so that your customers can pay you conveniently. And so what happened was, same for us, we had to have different bank accounts, and initially everything was being done manually. So we had people going to the bank, several times a week. So, meaning someone's okay, we go to this bank today, that bank tomorrow. So BDI, BDO, Union. We weren't on Union yet. BDO, BPI, Metro. Every day someone's going, updating this, updating that. And I said, enough of that. That's a waste of time because you're spending an hour in line. Why don't you just sign up for e-banking? And that was easier said than done. It took us about maybe a lot of pushing from my end. It took us about maybe 6 months to finally get signed up with everyone. And I kind of played around with the different apps. And I really didn't like that. And I said, let's try Union Bank. Apart from the fact that they were a client, and I knew they've done a lot of innovation. And I must say, I never regretted it. It's really the best. So the sign of frustration there isn't the frustration. It's actually quite helpful for us. So so the nice thing about Union Bank is that on the same app, on the same website that you log in for your personal account, there's a login for your corporate account. So it would look like this. You enter your email, your password, and then you're in. And then I'll point out to this part here. This is really where I have any activities on the approval side. So our staff will put up certain bills that we can pay online. And then if I click on that, it shows all the pending approvals. I just click and then I approve. Sends me two-factor authentication by SMS, and I'm done. I can even do this on my phone. I don't need to do this on the web. Okay. And the other thing is that they've got this other thing on the side called Hub. And what it does is you log in. It does two-factor authentication. Once you're in, actually there are three things you can do. There's EFT. You can see EFT there. That means you can do fund transfers to any bank, right? So we can pay all our supply. We can pay our whoever we owe money to, right? Our suppliers, whoever we owe money to, our contractors, our lawyers who don't have Union Bank accounts yet. We can pay them using EFT. There's one where you can do e-credit, where you can send money directly to people within Union Bank. So that gets processed immediately. EFT I think takes about a day because it goes through PesoNet and InstaPay. And then there's another one where you can make government payments. So we pay our PhilHealth through this PhilHealth, SSS, I believe, and BIR payments. So what happens here is that, and all of this I can do on my phone. So I could be in between meetings. I just go in, I do this all on my phone, and it's seamless. I can also do this on my desktop, but back when I was on the road a lot, this was something that was very simple, and we're very happy with the way this is integrated. And actually, if you use Union Bank, even in your personal banking, you'll find that it's easy to move money to and from. And they even have a like ING, they have this. You take a picture of the check and you can transfer money into your account by issuing a check to yourself. Okay, so the pandemic has hit, and I said it for us it became sort of seamless. Um, um, Everybody could just go home, and using the web, they could get their work done. They had access to all the files that they needed to access all the work because everything was on Slack. Slack is on the web. They have all their Google Docs. They when we bought the nice thing about Microsoft, you buy a license, you can install up to five machines. So you can on your phone, on your home computer. There's no excuse. So you can have Microsoft Word and all the Microsoft products on your computer. But the two things that I had to do, because now what we're going to do, because we don't assign laptops to our lawyers. We assign them desktops. So now we're going to move those desktops to their homes. And so I said I need more security because I'm concerned about, in the office we have a firewall, but at home you don't have a firewall. So what I did was I installed a virtual private network, and for that I used Perimeter 81. So I did a little bit of research. This is a Perimeter 81 is it's an Israeli company. What happens is that when the machine boots up, it automatically connects to Perimeter 81, and then it's now a secure link. So no one can once that link is established, it's difficult for hackers to look and see what you're doing. And we can do this also to ensure that our web resources are being logged in only through approved IP addresses. The other thing that I need also, because in effect, I'm their in-house IT management. I needed a way to remote manage their computers. We actually used to use a TeamViewer, but I like the pricing of Splashtop, more economical. But both are good for sort of logging into other people's computers, because what we've done with our desktop computers, which are all Macintosh computers, by the way, is that I disable the admin access. So our users can't install software. And so if they want to install something, update something, they need the admin password. And that's why they need to give me the remote access. I'll enter that password. Plus also, it gives me a chance to check whether they're updating or installing all the updates coming from Apple. And that's it for us. And I'm sorry, the title of the story was from a fire to a pandemic, and I forgot to tell the story about the fire. And what happened was we had just moved to our office in Philippine Social Science Center across the road here in Commonwealth, and maybe you had been there for a couple of months. And I got a call one morning, woke me up. A friend on her way to work, stuck in traffic on Commonwealth, said, "Hey, don't you hold the office in Philippine Social Science Center?" I said, "Yeah." "Well, it's on fire." And so I panicked. I live 5 minutes away, but I panicked. I drove my car as near as I could, and then I ran over there, and they did let me up, and indeed it was on fire, and it was on fire on the floor where our office was. So I will go up, and then they said, "No, it's on the other side of the building." So they let me up to the fourth floor, and then I checked they checked the third floor, I should say. I checked the office. The office was full of smoke, and that got me to thinking about disaster recovery. Like, what are we going to do if this place burns down? And it's ever since then we started using Google Docs. I'm sorry, we started using Dropbox, and then now we use Nextcloud for syncing all our files, so that all our files are always in the cloud. If the office burns down, you get a browser, you can start working again. But the other thing we did was we sort of hacked to the help of our guy who helps us out, Ian Season, who's the son of Carmelo Season, if you know Professor Carmelo Season. So his only child is Ian. So Ian helped us out on that. He said he made a very good suggestion. He said, "Did you buy those Apple Mac like 3 TB? It's a what do you call it? It's a router, right? It's a wireless router. but it also has 3 terabyte hard drive inside. And what we did is we time machined all our computers there, and then you can install an external drive that syncs, that it backs up to the external drive. And what I would do is I would bring home the external drive and leave the router in the office. Every once a week, I would come back with a hard drive. So if the office burns down, I have a copy of the computer backups on at home, and I could reinstall theoretically their computers. And we're doing a version of that right now with that. Okay, so that's it for the Disini Law digital transformation journey. I'm going to hand you over now to Professor Emer Banez, who will talk about the digital transformation journey of our law school, our alma mater, the UP College of Law. This is Professor